In ancient Rome, after a huge military conquest, the legatus praetor, his centurions, and other esteemed generals would return to the city for a huge celebration. Now, these celebrations were called triumphs, and they had the whole city gather around and watch the winners, the generals, parade down the street. In this parade, they would have women, they would have celebration, drinks, they would have the spoils of war they gathered. The generals would be wearing adorned and gilded armor and walking down feeling pretty good about themselves. Now, these same generals would have slaves behind them whispering in their ears, "Memento mori." Memento mori meaning, remember that you must die. Remember that you are immortal. Now, why did the Romans do this? Why do they feel the need to remind their generals about their mortality? I'm going to explain it in this video. So I'm a casual fan of boxing, and right now it's a really exciting time in boxing because we're seeing the best guys find the best guys. And this is something that hasn't really happened in a while. A while back, it used to be pretty frequent, but now because of politics and because of the money that's involved, a lot of coaches and trainers don't want their guys to be in a position where they'll lose. So a lot of undefeated champions don't fight other undefeated champions because as soon as you get a loss, your value decreases. You're not really worth as much. So as of late, there's been 3 champions: Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua. And in 2018, all 3 champions were undefeated. Right now, only Tyson Fury is undefeated, and both Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua suffered a loss. But the way in which they lost was very intriguing to me, and there's a big lesson that you can get from it. Let's start off with Deontay Wilder, who lost recently to Tyson Fury. When Deontay Wilder got his ass beat, got his ass handed to him, his excuse was that his legs were shaky because he wore 45 pounds of armor before the fight. His costume that he used to walk down the ring fatigued him, and as a result, he couldn't fight properly, and that's why he lost. Now, this caused a lot of uproar because this is a perfect case of someone who doesn't want to accept defeat, someone who doesn't want to take the L, take the loss. And this is a big issue in life. If you have too much ego, if you're blinded by ego, you can't really progress and you get stifled. This is exactly the reasons why the servants would whisper in the Romans' ear, "Memento mori." Remember that you must die. Remember that you're mortal. And as a mortal, we're subject to failure. So what I advise people when they've been winning for so long and they take the L is to take that as a lesson, flip it over, change it from a loss to a lesson. The issue is that society kind of programs us to think that we shouldn't fail, that we shouldn't lose, and that losing is weakness. But in reality, only through losing can we get better. The definition of the word sin, a word that has negative connotations, is literally to miss the mark. And yet it's only through missing the mark that we can get better, because the more times you fail, assuming you learn from the failure, the more reference points you have in your mind to improve. Let's say you're playing basketball, right? You're throwing shots, you're trying to get 3-pointer. The more times you fail, assuming you actually look at each mistake and course correct, you have a stronger understanding of the game. You have a more profound understanding of the dynamics, and you can improve much quicker. So you literally have to fail to success. And the biggest hindrance is ego, the sense that you're meant to be better than other people. It's very easy to see why people behave this way. It's because in life we see the world through our own inertial frame of reference. We're quite myopic, short-sighted, and we don't consider other people as beings that share this planet with us. So it's easy to get high off our own shit as opposed to seeing the lessons and getting better, as opposed to being objective and improving. Now, Anthony Joshua is another heavyweight boxer who was undefeated, and he suffered a loss that surprised everybody. He lost to a guy who he wasn't supposed to lose to, a guy that he should have beat. And a lot of people tried coming up with excuses for him, saying that he got knocked out during training and that's why he wasn't mentally there the night in which he lost to Anthony Andy Ruiz, but he took it like a man. He was humble. He saw where he made mistakes and he course corrected and got better because of it.
Eating in-house and so on, so no contaminated food. I know there's a lot of like accusations and worries about what was wrong with me, but I want to tell you this, I'm a soldier and I have to take my ups and my downs, and on Saturday I took a loss and I have to take it like a man. And that's why one of my sayings is, never let success get to your head and never let your failures get to your heart.
Deontay fired his coach. He fired his trainer, the one that threw in the towel and saved his life. This is a pure example of having too much ego and not understanding when to get out of the way and allow other people to give you constructive feedback. This reminds me of a time when I started writing and I was sharing my articles on Reddit. There was one article in particular that was getting a lot of traction, a lot of upvotes. But one person, commented on this article and they said the grammar and punctuation on this article is atrocious. This is terrible. You really need to check your spelling and all this type of stuff. Now, naturally, I felt defensive, of course. I felt that I should give this guy a piece of my mind, but I chose to take a different route. I chose to take a different route and ask him in what areas or where did I go wrong so that I can improve on it. The reaction I got from that was very positive. The whole thread changed and people were really happy to see someone being humble for once, because in the real world, people aren't humble. People don't want to learn from their failures. As a result of that day, I understood why it was so important to have better grammar and punctuation, and I went on to write better articles, which later got featured on the Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday's blog. So if you are afraid to course correct, if you are afraid to look at your mistakes in the eye, you are never going to be successful, because success demands it. Just take a look at, if we are considering the business world, iPhones. In 2007, Apple released the iPhone. At the time, the BlackBerry was the leading phone on the market and was just crushing it. But the executives who worked at BlackBerry disregarded the iPhone. They considered it a joke, a kid's toy, and they continued doing what they were doing, what made them successful all these years. That's ego. That's not taking the L and learning from it. As a result, what happened? BlackBerry got bankrupt and now no one talks about it. It's history, because it failed to adapt, it failed to look at its mistakes and get better because of them. So that is the lesson for today's video. In life, when you face a loss, when you reach a point of failure, don't get stuck in your ego. Don't get stuck in your need to look good. Learn from it, and as a result, you will get better. Do this, and I promise you, you'll be one step closer to living and dying well. Also, guys, make sure you download my ebook, Thriving, if you really want to learn how to master yourself on a deep level. Now, I'm not about bullshit. I'm not about soft self-help. We're going to go deep psychological warfare so that you no longer have to struggle. You no longer have to worry about if you're going to be successful or not in life. It's just inevitable. The link is down in the description. Until next time, guys, peace. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell notifications so we can see more of each other. Until next time.